The Box Seat, brought to you by our stable of sponsors. Hi everyone, welcome to this edition of Your Box Seat. Yes, brought to you by our stable of sponsors. Very pleased to welcome to this week's show Matthew Cross. He's sitting in the Brecon Winning Owners Bar at Addington Raceway, and in less than 2 weeks, Matthew, there's a lot of people, a lot of connections would be quite happy to be sitting in your spot.
Yeah, a spot that I've never actually been in, Greg. I'm sure you've been here a few times, and many of your avid viewers of the Box Seat. What a weekend that it was, a long weekend for us here in New Zealand with Labour Day Magic Monday out of Ashburton. Just looking out on the horizon from my viewpoint at the moment, there is a lot of high-vis vests running around. There's things going up, there's things going left and right. Everything's happening here at the Addington Raceway as we build up to the IRT New Zealand Trotting Cup.
Yeah, we've got plenty on the show for you today. We were going to have Gary Woodham to reflect on the annual conference and a couple of other key issues. We'll have him post Kaikoura, so on next week's show. Look out for that one. The road to the IRT New Zealand Cup continues. And that road went south from Christchurch to Ashburton last Monday, Labour Day Monday, and we took in the Ashburton Flying Stakes with New Zealand Bloodstock Air Freight. Here is BD Joe in front, doing the business as he has done all season. Pembroke Playboy to his inside, a Rock and Roll Do to his outside. We'll get Matthew Cross to bring them home, and post-race hear from all of the most important connections.
Then came Spankham, BD Joe in front from Pembroke Playboy, Old Town Roads flashing home late, and then came Ultra Wise Guy. BD Joe's in front, and BD Joe won the Flying Stakes. Old Town Road, a proper horse, he's run second. Third across, I think, Ultra Wise Guy. Then came Spankham from Pembroke Playboy. Rock and Roll Do was brave, he finished and beat a few home.
Well, his cup preparation just keeps going up.
It does, you know, and it was a good race to win today. It always is. Like, it's a good lead-up race into the Cup, and to go out there and set the turns from the get-go and, you know, be too good for them is a really good feeling.
Benjamin, was that the most pleasing part, the way he stepped and the way he's able to handle himself at this level, because he's very potent when he's in front?
Oh, he is, you know, and the manners are a big thing in the Cup, and, you know, it still can be different on the day, and you hope the moment doesn't get to him, but with the way he's been so far, he's been very sensible, and, you know, it's all looking positive moving forward.
What about for you? An opportunity to drive in the big dance, a race that your father's won, and you'll have your brother alongside there in Zachary, so it's going to be a special day for the family.
Oh, it will be, you know, hopefully, in my dream scenario, I'll win it, and it's great time, but hope, you know, if I do, I'll be holding over Zach for a long time, so. But no, hey, it's always a race everyone on the game wants to win, and just to be able to be going in and thinking you're a good chance, it's an awesome feeling.
Yeah, and it will be cool for your dad as well. He gets out there with Kango too, and, you know, it'll be nice driving out there with his boys, and I suppose from his point of view, it'll almost be the ultimate day. I
think it will be, you know, like ultimate for him if he can beat us both, but I'm hoping it's the other way around.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. That was pretty good. They don't really make ground up like that, especially in a field of that calibre. And I was really eating into them that last 100, and it was just right with the way he hit the line.
Right, they got home in 53 and 4, and he's given them 5 or 6 lengths at least. What about the start? How did he handle that, and what does he need to improve to give him his chance to win the Cup?
Well, I think pretty much what he's done today, hey, that's his first run up against the big guns. He's proven enough. He gets the right sort of run Cup day. He's only got to be within a couple of lengths of them turning for home. He's going to have enough speed to pick them up, that's for sure. But you look, his manners are all right. He's still green. He's looking around at a few things out there. The stand start was good. He stepped away really well. Probably could have pushed the button early, but again, you know, you still got to look after the horse. It's a big campaign he's got coming up in front of him. So, hey, I'm just thrilled with the way he hit that line.
That was more like it.
That was a lot better, Greg. Yeah, sort of ended up 4 fence, which was okay. I suppose I just wanted to see him hit the line good, which he did. Sort of a little bit unlucky down the straight, you know, running into dead ends, but he really hit the line strong and he's pulled up super. So, yeah, really positive, really happy.
What did you make of that?
Yeah, past Mark Just, Greg. Obviously, he's got a little bit lost in the last bend, which is unlike him. So, yeah, we've got a little bit of work to do. Not stressing. Still happy with how he's gone, but you know, he's not at his best at the moment. So, you know, we've got to get a little bit more improvement out of him. But you know, still happy to run fourth and do things right, but take nothing away from the ones that beat him home.
Talk me through that.
I was pretty happy with him. Yeah, obviously we missed away a little bit. The horses either side of us began very well, and he probably just sort of rushed that first step a little bit to try and go with him, and got into a bit of a bunny hop. But he settled down, quick enough. He got back into his rhythm. Just obviously, that put us 30 or 40 metres off the lead bunch. So I think the way he settled down quick enough, bit more experience, hopefully he'll be right.
You didn't have any fear, like you haven't with this horse throughout his career, of moving around them, and I thought he was pretty brave in the straight.
Very windy in the home straight too, so he's had to make a couple of runs into that wind, but basically he hasn't done a lot of work since we've been here, and we need to get him ready for 2 miles. So we knew it was going to be hard to win today, especially from missing the kick a little bit, but he was really good. He wasn't too far away, and he's got plenty of improvement left.
All right. What do you do, Mick, from now till then? Do you go into a cup trial, give him another standing start practice at the venue of Addington Raceway?
Not too sure. We'll get through today, see how he pulls up and eats, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. But we won't sort of rush into any plans. We'll just see how he recovers from today.
Well, that wasn't ideal.
No, it wasn't, Greg. No, he just wasn't his old self today. He got a reasonable enough run, and I know the last half was quick, but he just didn't finish it out like he should have.
So some really interesting aftermath there, Matthew. Most importantly, the timing wasn't right. 53.4 was what came through from the judge on the day, but that wasn't right at all. It was about a second, 1.3 seconds slower actually. There's no way they could have gone that fast, because it would have meant Old Town Road would have damn near broken 52 seconds. But let's concentrate on the race from your vantage point. BD Joe, excellent, did everything right, stepped to the front. 2:57. I think it was the second slowest in the last 10 years. So I don't read too much into that, but out of the race, the second horse, very, very good. Stormed home, Old Town Road, so much so that he stormed into the top 15. So he's now in the IRT New Zealand Cup. In behind them, Rock and Roll Do, very good. Self-Assured, clearly below par. Spoke to Natalie Rasmussen and Mark Purdon today, and they said, look, we just gave him the Tuesday off, as they did with the rest of the team. There's clearly a bug. Some have got it, some haven't. He obviously did on the day, Matthew, because he well and truly underperformed.
He did. He just didn't have that spark that we know that he's got at the back end of his race. And I guess had Old Town Road not gone flashing past him, we're probably in a scenario of maybe being a wee bit more forgiving on, but he did race flat, simple as that. Great to see Old Town Road. I thought they were very, very generous in terms of how far up the order they put him. I thought that he'd get into the top 15. I'm a massive fan of the horse, but yeah, I was thinking that maybe 14th or 15th, but they've put him in all the way up at 11th, and he deserves to be there as well. He's a horse that I think is going to pick up one of our big ones in the next 12 months, Old Town Road, purely for his speed and his tractability, which does have a little bit of improvement to come. He did want to get in a little bit halfway up the straight there, and Self-Assured probably copped the worst of those inward and outward movement from the horses around him. I thought just in behind, Spankin was good. Good to see him back. He'd performed very much below par at Methven. Honest performances from Alta Wise Guy and Pembroke Playboy, and the run from Rock and Roll Dude was fantastic, Greg. If you were to clock his mile from the point they run past the 1800 to the 200 and take that as his mile, he's run a phenomenal time. So all things looking good there for the Australian, bar the start of the race. Just didn't quite get that right.
No, he didn't. Let's have a look at that start, and I just had a quick look to see what those closing sectionals were. 55.3, 26.8, so they certainly were well out. So here was the start. Here's Rock and Roll Do in the predominantly blue colours of Mick Stanley and South Coast Arden galloping. What I liked about Rock and Roll Do is he came down pretty quickly, didn't he? Not quite quick enough to get in front of South Coast Arden, which now goes to the unruly. Very quick beginning from BD Joe, though, and there was a little bit of trepidation earlier on in his program, Matthew, about the way he was getting away because of a trial where he didn't step that quickly, but it wasn't his fault that day, and now he's stepping away from barrier 1 like that. He didn't cop a lot of pressure. Yes, Rock and Roll Do came in at a look, but he only had a serious look from about the 500 metre mark. That'll be completely different in the New Zealand Cup, and I was having a look back over the last 20 years or so, Matthew. This is the deepest cup field we've had definitely since 2014, and when you think about that year, Adore Me won it, beat Franco Nelson in that field with Chris and Me, Tiger Tara, Arden Rooney, Hans Christian. Gee, it was a deep New Zealand Cup, but this has a lot of form going into this race and different form lines as well, many of which we'll talk about shortly.
Yeah, and we're looking forward to as well the mid-race pressure, which is likely to come as well. I don't think it's going to be a cup where whoever steps first is going to be able to go forward and control it. I'll tell you what though, Greg, the speed that BD Joe showed is as quick as I've seen a horse step in open class ranks for quite some time. And that puts him in a really good position as he goes for IRT New Zealand Cup glory. So he's looking for a front row barrier draw. I think that the things to come out of the race are that, yes, he's a good horse. Old Town Road's an exceptionally good horse as well. Self Assured has got the big question mark around him, and if Rock and Roll does step, then we know that he's more than capable of playing a part. Of the others, Greg, I don't really think any of them put their hands up in a sense of saying that they'll be winning the IRT New Zealand Cup. Horses like Pembroke Playboy and Ultra Wise Guy are probably looking for the pegs and getting a nice run in the Cup if they were to run in the top three. And of the others, South Coast Arden, big question mark around him now going to the Unruly. His task just got a whole lot harder.
Yeah, it certainly did. I did speak to Nathan Williamson about Pembroke Playboy, so he goes to Kaikoura, and we'll preview that cup very shortly. He was happy enough. He said it was definitely a pass mark. He hadn't had a run for 6 weeks, and he expects him to improve off that, and he needs another run. That's why he's going to Kaikoura, although his chances there have been dented somewhat by drawing the inside of the second row. Before we leave the Flying Stakes, sad day last Friday. One of our 1,000 win club in the driving ranks, MR Michael de Filippi, passed away. An outstanding horseman, the winner of over 1,100 races. I think it was 1,161 as a driver and over 300 as a trainer. He won this race in 1996 with Hoppy's Jet. He trained the very good trotter Sundowner Bay, who won 17 or 18 races. And yeah, he was just an outstanding horseman. His brother, Colin, suggesting that Michael was always a far better driver than he ever was. He leaves the earth at only the age of 71, and he'll be well remembered for being an outstanding horseman and a great conditioner of horses. Michael de Filippi, certainly a very sad time for his family, and from the box seat and the harness racing fraternity, we certainly pass on our sincere condolences. Moving on to another IRT New Zealand Cup performer. Copy that, the defending champion, 55 metres behind and all. Blair Orange, his cup-winning driver, back in the sulky. This is the Brecon Farms pace, Alexandra Park, 2,200 metres. Horses shouldn't be able to do this, but this is what the defending champ did.
Mowing them down. Here's the little fella. Copy that all over the top of them. There's the New Zealand Cup reigning champion, and what a win.
Did that feel as good as it looked? Because he looked super.
Yeah, it was, Mick. There's always going to be those concerns being off 55, but, he got away pretty quick, which was a big plus, and, he travelled well around the corner and, let down really strong.
Perhaps more importantly, Blair, he seemed to be up on the nickel all the way and like a horse who wanted to be there, which maybe wasn't the version we saw of him on television in Melbourne.
Yeah, we seemed pretty happy out there tonight and, really relaxed in the warm-up, and he travelled just nice enough in the run, but, I just asked him to hop on the bridle about the 500, and he did, and as I said, he really let down well.
You won the New Zealand Cup on this horse last year. Does he feel any different to you than he did this time last year?
It's kind of a hard one, Mick, because obviously the last time I sat behind him was Cup Day, and he felt he was obviously 100% for that race, and travelled good that day and felt good that day. But I really like the way he got home tonight off the back of that handicap, and to pick up some nice intermediate horses like he did is still a very good effort.
Last year in the Cup there were 3 main winning chances. Is it a tougher Cup this year?
I think it is. Yeah. Obviously, I like the fact that Rock and Roll do and Majestic Cruiser are coming, and it's just going to add a bit more to the race. And we know how the Aussies drive, so it might change the pattern of the race a little bit if one of them does end up parked early or whatnot. So, yeah, and Self Assured, BD Joe's the new kid on the block. So I think it's going to be a really interesting cup, and I think there's more than just 3 or 4 winning chances.
most of Copy That's major wins have been when he's been able to get in front. He's a great front runner, as you know. In the Cup last year, that's what happened. Did tonight give you any confidence he has a few more strings to his bow?
For sure, as I say, to come from near the back on some quick half and quarters tonight just shows that he can win from behind, and he has done before. But a lot of those good horses like that are dominant in front, and as you say, if you're spotting those better ones 5 or 6 lengths turning in, they're harder to pick up. But I think he just showed tonight that he is very fast as well as tough.
A great interview there from Michael Guerin and a great insight from Blair Orange as to where he thinks Copy That is. I spoke to him the next day, Matthew, and he was in raptures. He said, man, he felt powerful, man, he felt confident, and he cannot wait to get him there to defend his title because, again, if he draws the front row, the question to you, Matthew Cross, is can he win a second Cup?
I think he can, definitely. I think that run at Alexandra Park the other night shows that he's at his best. To the Victorian Cup run, to the eye, you might have thought, well, he maybe should have gone a little bit better, but he didn't really have any momentum. He didn't have the momentum that a horse like Rock and Roll did, and we well know that it's very hard to bridge the gap when there's, say, a 3 or 4 length margin turning in. So I thought that he was good in Australia and has come back in brilliant order. It's going to be interesting to see what Ray Green does with him between now and the IRT New Zealand Trotting Cup. Ray obviously couldn't come down here last year, so I'm sure along with him, Merv and Meg Butterworth and the entire Lincoln Farms team, they'll be looking to come down and hopefully enjoy some of the spoils this year. But absolutely he can win. Do you think he can?
Yeah, I do. We'll talk about the race he's in this week, or he's in at this stage, whether he actually starts off 70 metres. But if he draws the front row again and finds the front, that'll be a different Cup this year because of the depth that are in it and the moves that are likely to come. But I would definitely not say that he can't win it. We'll look at the market very shortly for that. A horse that emerged from last Friday night, so 55 behind was Copy That. What about Krug? He sat in the 1-1, handled by Carter Dalgetty in the appropriately named the Jim Dalgetty pace. It was IRT Legends night. Again, we'll get Matthew to bring them home and then hear from the winning driver, Carter Dalgetty.
The lead from Anything Goes. Krug, Anything Goes a half a length away. What a win. 40 metres in all. Krug is back. Krug won the Jim Dalgetty pace in the hands of Carter Dalgetty for Cran and Chrissy Dalgetty in brilliant style.
Been a few days since Krug came out and won at Addington, but I reckon it's pretty hard to wipe that smile off your face.
Yeah, the replay's been going constantly, but I was just thrilled to have the horse back more than anything and done everything perfect and stepped away and won with a lot in hand, so yeah, it was good timing.
It was good for him getting a 1-1 sit like that and being able to savage the line. I think that was the most important part. His last 100, he really wanted to be there.
Yeah, absolutely right. Like I was saying, I think another 50 metres he would have got away even more, so that was probably the best thing about it, and like a real confidence boost for the last couple of days at home. He's just out of his skin, so yeah, the timing's good.
All right, Carter, where does he head next? What's the discussion been like around the kitchen table?
Yeah, like before Friday nights, we were pretty keen to head to Kaikoura, but just the way he did it, he hardly blew a match out in that race, and they run a nice time, so fitness is not really our worry, it's just sort of keeping the horse happy, so most likely we'll head to the Cup trials just for another standing start, and then all going well into the big race on second Tuesday.
What have you got up your sleeve in terms of convincing your mum and dad? I don't think that'll take much, but the other owners that you're the man for the job.
Oh yeah, it'll be tricky really. Like I sort of want what's best for the horse, whether it's me driving or someone else. And obviously I'd love to drive him, but yeah, it's still early in my career, so yeah, they've got a big decision to make.
Pretty cool though that he's back in the right sort of form, because there were plenty of people, the media included, that were prepared to question his future, but he's certainly given us a fair message this time.
Yeah, shit, yeah, we definitely learned that. People were pretty quick to write you off, but no, we know what sort of horse we got, and yeah, it's good to show everyone what we know we had.
Win number 18 in his career, over 700,000 now. A couple of things out of that for me, Matthew. Cran obviously wasn't overly confident about a win. He had a pretty tame shirt on there last Friday night. But secondly, would you, and you know this Kentuckiana-based lodge, having worked there better than I will ever know it, would you put Carter Dalgetty on in the Cup?
Yes. Yes, I would. Yep. The reasons being, Greg, is that he knows the horse so well. Blood is thicker than water, and families and generations in harness racing could wait a lifetime for an opportunity like Krug and Carter could potentially have in the IRT New Zealand Trotting Cup. So I think that there will be a really good push from a lot of people to put young Carter in the bike. And another thing, Greg, is you watch sports around the world, Formula One being a prime example. Most of the big performers, the high performance athletes are under 30 years old. And I think that our industry is going that way. No disrespect to the older people, because we have some brilliant and some famous names in our sport. But I think we're at the point now where gone are the days of it being a risk. I think that it's a must-do now is to utilise what we've got. You've got Carter, who's full of confidence. He's incredibly calm. He's got such an unbelievable sense of timing in terms of his drives, and he just puts his horses in good positions. And the other thing being that he knows the horse so well. So why not? I see no reason why you wouldn't put Carter Dalgetty on. Who would your other options be, Greg? I guess John Dunn's name could be flown around. I don't know particularly if Smithy's Terror got a start in the Cup, whether he had to choose between Krug or Smithy's Terror. He could maybe swing that way. Was there anyone else that you saw that could be putting their hand up for the job?
Well, both Tony Herlihy and Todd Mitchell have driven the horse. Of course, Tony famously drove him to win the Northern Derby in that COVID era where he took off and led by, well, some 20 lengths at one stage. So, yeah, I suppose there are some other options, but at this stage I'd be pretty confident that off the back of that win home in 54.7 that Carter, well, he's on the seat at the moment, let's just say that. A couple of other Cup contenders went round in the Tuapeka Lodge Tuapeka Cup, but it was the beast from the east getting the job done, running down American Me. That's him getting to the outside in the Wilson colours, and this was his third win in the race, Matthew. He's come back from Australia and he's not nominated for the Cup, getting home here very nicely though and doing it in good style. That's Tommy Waterhouse into third, who starts in the age pace on Monday.
He performed below expectation over in Australia, and he's come back. He obviously just loves the joint down there at the Wilson stable, and I was thrilled to see him get over the line. And look, the Southern form is always stacked up wherever it goes around the country, so no reason why we couldn't be seeing him here during Cup Week, maybe in a junior free-for-all or a race like that being very competitive. But yeah, it was a good day's racing down there in the south, and brilliant to see him back.
Let's continue our look down the road of the IRT New Zealand Cup. We have to cross the Tasman because the Black's a Fake winner, the winner of the Messenger, turned up for the first time. His name, Majestic Cruiser, over a mile. Getting to the outside here, Matthew. Ultra Orlando's in front, this Marvel, formerly trained here in New Zealand, first of all by the All-Stars and then the Duns, and still owned here in New Zealand. Starved them all off. I love the way Majestic Cruiser got home though, 27.3, and he powered up the straight. He does go to the Len Smith Mile this week, Matthew. He hadn't raced since that Black's a Fake, about the 20th it was of July, so he'll improve immensely off that. He's come up with barrier number 2 in the Len Smith Mile. If he performs up to expectations, he'll be on the plane, cross the Tasman, and then the plane down here with Copy That on Tuesday, the 1st, so a week out from the great race. What did you make of his first up run, and do you think a number of the runners in this year's Cup should be fearing him?
I think so, for sure, particularly with his form from the race. And like I mentioned the last time I was on the show with you, Greg, there is that element of respect there for Majestic Cruiser. He couldn't have gone any better in that particular race. They drove him to have one crack at them. The tempo didn't probably suit him, particularly over the last 400 metres with good horses up front reeling off those splits. But heading to the Len Smith from a good gate, I would anticipate he'll be a lot closer to the speed and really hard to beat. And then even if he were to run top 3, he still comes here with the power of respect. There's a reason that he currently sits 8th in the rankings. That's because he is a very, very good horse. And if he were to step away, the Cam Hart, Jason Grimson stable, I'm sure, will not die wondering. So he's a live hope.
Yeah, absolutely is. Great night there, Menangle. If you want to watch that race, it goes 11:35 New Zealand time, takes on the likes of Honolulu Bay, his stablemate I Cast No Shadow, who was disappointing last time, the Flying Black's a Dance, who's broken 150 a couple of times around Albion Park, Ultra Orlando, who won that race, and Max Delight. It's on New South Wales Breeders' Challenge night, so there's a lot of very, very good racing there on Saturday night. Right, let's have a look at the market for the IRT New Zealand Cup. And I've got some advice, Matthew, for punters. Copy That 460, same price Rock and Roll Do. BD Joe $5, Old Town Road, huge reaction to his second in the Flying Stakes, $6. Self Assured, Gets the Drifts out to $7.50. Spank 'em into 11. Ultra Wise Guy 15. Akuta's about 17. Majestic Cruiser 17. And Krug around the $30 mark. My advice, Matthew, would be not to have a bet into this market. I personally believe there's nothing that's going to happen between now and Cup Day. The Cup trial may have an influence, but there's no horse going to rocket up to favouritism for the Cup. Copy that if he starts off the 70 metres against Hot and Treacherous on Friday night. May tighten slightly, but I believe on the day, no horse will be under $5. What say you?
Yeah, it's one of those markets, Greg, that now is very tricky to be betting into. The Self-Assured price is the one thing that could change. If Self-Assured went to the Cup trial, came out, finished hard-held, chewing steel, comes up with a draw, then your price may be starting a lot shorter. So he's the one horse in that market, Greg, that I think that you could take a risk around with his below-par performance from Monday. Other than that, I'd be waiting for the barrier draws. But there's obviously been that reaction to Old Town Road, who's a very good horse, Greg, but it's one of those races, the IRT New Zealand Trotting Cup. If Old Town Road is to come from off the speed, I don't think he can do it in the running line because he could end up last at the 800 metres, and that makes it really hard to make ground. So he's one of those horses where if he was in the trail or three fence probably more likely, then he can win the race, but I'm just not entirely sure about the price justifying his chances at the moment. He can win the race, but he's going to need a lot to go his way. If I was having a bet now, Greg, without a lot of confidence, Self-Assured is clearly, I think, still the benchmark if you're willing to forgive him. As Carter said in that interview, we're quick to drop good horses, and I'm not going to fall into that trap with Self-Assured.
Yeah, it's the first time he's missed a place in a year, and I'll go on record, Matthew, there's absolutely no chance in the world Old Town Road will pay less than $8 on the day. There's no chance. He might even get closer to 10, but we'll see who's right and who's wrong by the time we get to the big dance on Cup Day. Speaking of a cup, the Yellowbar Kaikoura Cup market is out. Let's have a look at that now, Matthew, and favouritism is with Akuta. Still in the New Zealand Cup, but probably only a 10% chance. My theorem is if he won this by 5 lengths, Mark might have some thinking to do over the following 24 hours. But he's $2.10, Matthew. Then you're getting Kango about $7.50. $8 Pembroke Playboy has been crawled a wee bit. Only 8 off the front there. He's around the $8 mark. The horse that's drawn beautifully, Matthew, is All American Lover. Very quick beginner. I can see her in front scooting around that track, and I spoke to Steve Stockman and the team on Monday. This is the race they've targeted with her because of her manners and her speed out of those bends. Very hard to catch around the South Bay racetrack.
Yeah, particularly if Akuta's having to come around in the running line and she's running a 57.5 on the pegs, it's incredibly hard to pick up. And the fact that she does corner so well, so she may well be the horse for Akuta to beat. McAndrew Aviator missing a run on Monday, so the Kirsten Green stable going to Kaikoura. I think he's a horse that's going to be very competitive probably in 12 months' time. You could see him picking up one of our bigger races, McAndrew Aviator. He's shown enough in a couple of runs this time and to suggest that he warrants a fair bit of respect. And I'd love to see Kango step away because, as we know, David Butcher will make an absolute race of it. He probably doesn't hand if he steps away and leads Kango. And who could forget his fantastic run here during the winter when so good here at the Addington Raceway. So not going to count him out. But all things being equal, I think Akuta is the best horse in the race. And yeah, you're right. If he does win, there may well be some serious discussions over the All-Stars smoker room table poster.
Yeah, absolutely, Matthew. They'll only have about 24 hours to decide before they work out exactly where Akuta might go. All right, time for us to take our first break here on Your Box Seat. On the other side, bit more review coming out of Ashburton, and we'll preview a couple of those other features for Kaikoura on their 2 days coming up this Sunday and Monday. Welcome back into your box seat. Not only the paces on show there at Ashburton on Magic Monday, but the horse that won the Flying Trot last year, Muscle Mountain, was back. And with Brecon Farms, we'll go back and have a look at his winning performance again. Excellent run from him. This was the What the Hill Ashburton Trotters Sprint. He's in front, Oscar Bonavina to his outside, Majestic Man trailing him up. Here's Matthew Cross, and then winning driver Ben Hope on the performance of this star trotter.
Muscle Mountain, 2.5 and 3 lengths clear. Majestic Man, then 5 Wise Men. But Muscle Mountain at the 100 metres is holding off Majestic Man, conquering every peak and on song to tackle the biggest of all. Muscle Mountain by 2. He goes back to back and beats Majestic Man and 5 Wise Men.
Ben, in terms of a Cup week preparation, couldn't have basically gone better in his last couple.
No, it's been a couple of really good wins. He felt good, and he got the job done again today.
Getting off the gate nice and early and finding the front. It was actually perfect for him. Once he gets in that zone and he's trotting as smooth as he is, he's so hard to get past, although Oscar Bonavina came in at a bit of a look.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I probably went a bit slow in front, to be honest, but which obviously encouraged him to go around. But look, my fella felt super, trotted really great, and he did it comfortably, to be honest.
Probably haven't had a chance to chat to your dad yet, but are we thinking a Cup trial and then into the Dominion?
Yeah, I think so. I think fitness-wise, he's pretty up to the mark, but I just think for his headspace to have another stand going into the Dominion would be a good idea. So I'd say it'll be Cup trial and then the big dance.
Pretty hard to argue, Matthew, that he's not the best short course horse in the country, although Bolt for Brilliance did beat him in the Jewels at Cambridge, but they were never going to beat him on Monday.
Well, he was good and he got away with it. Ben's right. He went slowly down the back, so they came for a bit of a look. I got the sense that they probably weren't looking for a gut buster, and it was game over after 150 metres. Simple as that. There was nothing running past Muscle Mountain. So he gets a big tick. Majestic Man gets a tick as well. Another honest run for him. Oscar Bonavina, I don't know what's going on with him. He's a little way from being at his absolute peak. I think had Herlihy not galloped at the turn, maybe finishes a spot closer. And 5 Wise Men's run just shows that he's up with the big boys. And I mentioned on the day, Greg, that the management of 5 Wise Men and horses like Muscle Mountain, they're going to, I think, see the rewards of that over the next 12 months, with 5 Wise Men being a great example of that. He found the line well. And what about old Matuatana sneaking up the inside? He'll get you. 1 in every 5 or 6 starts, he'll get you, Matuatana. He'll probably go a couple of bad ones now, but good to see him hitting the line. Might do well for his confidence.
Charged home, didn't he? He was really good his last 100, and you're right, that's the sort of flashing light run you get from him. He goes to the big race on Monday at Kaikoura. Before we get to that, though, intrepid reporter Michael Guerin was out and about at Alexandra Park, and he caught up with Tony Herlihy, first of all talking about the star 3-year-old trotting filly Double Delight in her return, and then where Bolt for Brilliance is at.
Well, Tony, firstly, Double Delight, I thought very good against the older horses tonight. Are we going to see her in the South Island?
Hopefully, Mick. She's got the Oaks and might be like the Jewels race down there for her. So, yeah, hopefully we might get another race or 2 up here with her and send her down a bit later on. Perhaps we'll just see.
How did she feel tonight, considering she was fresh up and they were older and fitter horses?
Yeah, no, I was wrapped with the way she performed. First time from a stand and all that, and all those horses all around her. And no, she handled herself great. And yeah, just got a little bit tired the last bit, but she was terrific.
One horse we didn't see here tonight is Bolt for Brilliance, the Rowe Cup winner. Obviously, 55 metres too much for him. I take it he heads to Kaikoura, and what else do you do with him to get him ready for that?
We'll give him a bit of a run along this week, and he's booked to go down on Friday, I think it is, and race down there on the Monday. So, we'll stay down there at Bob Rochford Lodge, and it should be all good.
How does he feel to you? Because in his fresh up win, Tony, he looked very in the zone for a horse who sometimes can be a little bit mentally lackadaisical.
Yeah, he probably has grown up a bit, Mick, and he's come through the race terrific. I couldn't be more happy with the way he's come through the race. And hopefully getting that run at Kaikoura will be enough for him to go into the Dominion. We'll just have to wait and see.
If he comes through the Dominion well, Tony, and if the flights work out your way, are you still keen on the Inter-Dominions?
Yeah, I think so, Mick. Yeah, it's a series I'd love to go in with him. I think he'd go good over 3 races in a week. I don't think that'd worry him. He's such a strong type of horse now, and so I would like to be over there. But like you say, it's got to be for the good of the horse. So we'll just have to wait and see after the Dominion.
Great to get that inside from the Iceman, A.G. Herlihy. Imagine having to stay at Bob Rockford Lodge. How would you cope with that, Matthew? Because by that wry smile on A.G.'s face there, I'm thinking it'd be a bit of fun.
Yeah, I don't know if I would cope, to be honest. The night before the race is probably not a good idea, staying at Bob Rockford's, but I'm sure that Bob and everyone up there at Kaikoura are looking forward to having everyone up there, and what a treat. We've got horses like a Cooter, Bolt for Brilliance, Sunday Sun going to Kaikoura. So, yeah, we're going to have an absolute treat for them with both days, of course, with Sunday as well. They've got a meeting there too with a couple of the junior drivers' heats too. So I'm looking forward to it, Greg. I know I love Cup Day and you love Cup Day, but that's a high-intensity environment that often you don't really get to sit back and enjoy. But Kaikoura is a little bit more laid back in terms of the feeling. But once you're on the drive home from Kaikoura, it's Cup Week fever for sure.
We'll have a look at the IRT South Bay Trotters Cup just in a moment. I'll make it simple for you, Matthew. There are 3 horses in the market for the Renwick Farms Dominion. Defending champion, 2-time winner Sunday Sun, Bolt for Brilliance, of course, who we've just heard about, and Muscle Mountain. Which camp are you in?
This is a tricky one, Greg. You could have told me before the show that you were going to ask me this question. Sunday Sun, and this is probably my heart talking more than my head. I just think that there's enough there to say that he's that close from being where he needs to be, Sunday Sun. And if he were to come around and tear them apart at Kaikoura, then I think that he can defend his title. If he trots all the way at Kaikoura, I'm sure that John Dunn will have in the back of his mind just to show how authoritative that the little man can be. I'm not going to drop him just yet. If he were to underperform at Kaikoura, Greg, my confidence is completely dented in him. But he's getting one more go. I reckon he's that close.
All right, let's have a look at the IRT South Bay Trotters Cup, won by some of the absolute best. Stig, I Can Do's it, won it 3 times. Stent, Speeding Spur, BB Inter. Yeah, Majestic Lavros is in the field. The market looks like this, Matthew. Smokin' Bandar, $7. The Flying Greys in terrific form. Majestic Lavros won it last time over Artie by the Hill and has trialled since then, $13. Same for Five Wise Men if you're a fan. And then Mataderos, $9. Sunday Sun, $3.60. And Bolt for Brilliance at $2.50. The last 3 all off 15 metres. It's never easy to come from back there. The other one that might be worth speaking, Matthew, is at Midnight Dash, who's placed in this race before and gets a beautiful barrier of 1 to operate from. Which way would you go? Would you plumb now for Sunday Sun, or are you wanting to see that peak performance from him?
I think Bolt for Brilliance can beat him, but it's his opportunity to get back into form. Just a quick bugbear on this race, Greg. You've got Midnight Dash, who comes in as a rating 99, who's well clear of every other horse on the front. And you've got Mataderos, who's a rating 100. There's a 1-point difference between those 2 horses and a 15-metre difference. If anything, Midnight Dash should actually be off 15 metres in comparison to the remainder of the field. So I think that they've got those handicaps completely wrong. So it could actually work out in favour of a horse like Midnight Dash, who's going to be able to step away from the inside, may even have Smokin' Bandar for early speed. And if he were to hand up to a horse like a Five Wise Men or Majestic Lavros, then they're certainly going to give them something to chase. At the moment, Greg, I'd be happy to play around either Midnight Dash or Smokin' Bandar around the top 3, top 4 prices. It has in the past been a race where on speed has been the place to be. And there's some pretty talented types off the front that are going to give those out the back something to catch. I think how the handicaps work out, Midnight Dash is thrown in on the front. He's well clear of everything else in the field. So he could be the horse to just have a sneaky place play. For yourself in the IRT South Bay Trotters Cup?
Yeah, I think Bolt can win it, but on top 4 all day Midnight Dash, I think he'll shorten up considerably. We'll have a look at the age pace shortly, but let's go back to Ashburton, fire through some of these performances, Matthew. Here's Republican Party in the Garrard Sophomore. Gee, he was good. Burnt early to get past Franco Mack and way too strong in the end. Blair Orange, huge on him post-race. Sandwave was great. Nathan Williamson telling me he couldn't be happier with him.
Yeah, he was super Sandwave. He's a really nimble sort of horse, and the way that he found the line outside of Republican Party reversed the roles, and you may well even reverse the result. They're both very similar horses. I don't think there's too much between them ability-wise. Republican Party had the draw and the tactical speed early to get across, but he had to be very good to hold them off. And this horse here, Greg, I'm not sure that there's too many 2-year-old fillies in the country that will be able to stop her in the coming months.
Yeah, and it was a good race for her. She learnt a wee bit. She came out and had a crack at Artie by the seaside and had to take a trail, but look at the way she gets over the ground in the latter part of it. Kailua flyby into third was also very good. She's now 6 from 6. I'm not too sure about the time for this race. They said 1:59.1 was the mile rate, but that's yet to be ratified and would be a New Zealand record by my reckoning if that had been the case. But look at her pricking her ears, 6 from 6. She is a flying machine. This was a good race, the Hambletonian Classic. With Newman's tyres. In front, Hot to Trot had popped around Paramount Empress and taken the lead, so it was a retake job. But here's Mystic Max. Michael Purden, Blair Orange stretches the neck here. Not even trotting that squarely, but still good enough to get the job done, Matthew.
Yeah, that says to me there's a little bit of improvement with him, and he did just hop and skip a little bit first up, missed away second up. So I do think there's just that little percentage still to come that we're going to see improve from him there, as you just see him get a little bit runny in behind, which if they can sort that out, he's probably going to let down and do a super job. Some good runs in behind the likes of Masterly. Good to see him hit the line. Hot to Trot was quite brave, and Highgrove did a fair bit of work. And this was another good race and a good filly. Greg, I questioned before the race whether she'd be able to blast off the arm Queen of Diamonds, and she was able to do that. So for her to have that in her armoury in the coming 3-year-old fillies features is good, and True Fantasy clearly going to be the big improver there.
Yeah, I spoke to the team today about both of those fillies. They're much happier, obviously, with True Fantasy. She'll improve again off that. It's going to be a cracking Neville R final. But Queen of Diamonds was too good. It was a very good day for Jean Feast, first and second in that one, and in the sires as well. So we'll have a look at that heat very, very shortly. But, gee, there was some good racing there, and a little bit unlucky in that race. Dance Till Dawn hitting the line just in behind Rakiro Raider, who also was excellent. Let's go to the Woodland Sire Stakes and the 2 heats held last week. First of those was in the north. First up here, Beach Flyby, tipped out on Trot's Talk with SENZ the Sunday prior by Steve Telfer. Horse is not coming to the Woodland Sire Stakes final. He's not quite the finished product yet, but he was able to get the job done here. Sevi, who was the hot favourite, was okay. Mickey Shan, not too sure if it's coming to the final either, but you couldn't take anything away from that performance. And here's Sherlock in the pink cap, getting to the inside of Beckham, who was heavily backed but underperformed like a few of the All-Stars on the day. Obviously, he was affected by the bug, but gee, this horse was good. Sherlock beats with style, Alta Meteor, Carrera Rapido getting home nicely, Sinbad just in behind them too, but Sherlock now has shortened considerably in the market for the Woodland Sire Stakes final on Cup Day. It's an open go. Don't Stop Dreaming and Merlin both weren't there, Matthew, and they've come up $3 a pair. It's a tricky Sire Stakes this year. It's not just a line-up and win job, and crucial to it, of course, will be the barrier draw. At this stage, which way are you leaning?
I think Merlin. At the moment, Greg, if Merlin were to draw inside of Don't Stop Dreaming, then Merlin's going to take all sorts of stopping. I think Sherlock can win the race, but the best version of him we're going to see in 12 months' time. I think he's a really scopy horse that does have a little bit of filling out to do. He's got a nice, good-sized frame on him, so 12 months' time is certainly going to be his friend. Don't Stop Dreaming, you cannot fault what he's done. He's a super, super horse, but Merlin, he was so brave here the other night. I know they didn't run too much time during the middle part in the Harness Million, but he was very willing to hold them off. I think between those two, they still hold sway for mine as the 2 horses to beat. If anything, Sherlock may be bridging that gap back a little bit. It wasn't the sort of race where sort of hard to get a gauge on it. It was an on-speed sort of bias type race, so there were some actually good runs in behind. You mentioned the horses like Sinbad, Carrera Rapido, even horses like Watermelon Sugar finding the line, and Ultra Meteor probably just looking for a draw, a horse I know that you've got a lot of time for.
Yeah, no, he's a pretty good staying type, and Frankie Major charging down the outsides made his way into that shadow field as well. That was in that northern heat. So looking forward to the Woodland Sire Stakes final. Just on the Trainers Premiership too, the Telfer team 79 ahead of Robert and Jenna Dunn on 71 and Mark Purden, Hayden Cullen on 70. So the next couple of weeks may well determine where things sit there as we go into the last couple of months. The age pace with New Zealand Bloodstock, Standardbred, great supporters of this show, and Matthew, Fernley Cash comes south. That's it on the inside. Who's winning this? Old Town Road in the Holmes DG. Of course, hot and treacherous, and another contender for the Age Classic, Last Tango in Heaven, getting home quite nicely, thanks very much. This is a good form guide, I think, leading into the age pace. Won't be easy coming off the 10 metres, because off the front you've got Better Believe It, who can step quickly. Anything Goes, who looks a very good winning chance after running second last time. It's always an excellent contest, this, Matthew. We'll have a look at the market for you, but how did you line them up?
Well, I think Last Tango in Heaven's a horse that's on the up. He will be improved with his 2 runs under his belt, and Tony Herlihy certainly won't be shy of putting him into the race. Firmly Cash should be improved off that first run. Dashing Major going well, and Tommy Waterhouse off the Unruly. I know that this horse is probably better than his first couple of runs suggest, Tommy Waterhouse, so I certainly wouldn't be dropping him. And just how the ratings work, it does make it quite hard for Shan Noble. Wouldn't be surprised to see Anything Goes pace forward though, Greg, and try and give them something to catch. And $50,000 on offer, there should be a good clip up front.
Yeah, that certainly should be. $4 the price about it, $5.50 Last Tango in Heaven and Shan Noble, and then you've got Fernley Cash and Dashing Major $7, Tommy Waterhouse $9. All right, it is the National Junior Drivers Championship at this weekend. We go to Methven on Friday and Kaikoura for a couple of heats. Let's have a look at some of the faces that will have a chance to win the title. Many of them well known to you. Sarah O'Reilly's been successful, Kieran Tomlinson, you've got the North, the South, all of the young talent on show. So looking forward to the Macmillan Equine Feeds 2022 Junior Drivers Championship, Methven and Kaikoura on the first day. Good luck to all of our young juniors going around in that. Short break for us. On the other side, we've got all the information around our best bets. We've also got one more race to have a look at for you out of Kaikoura on Monday. Stick with us. You're in the box seat. In your home straight, in your box seat, brought to you by our stable of sponsors. One other race I wanted to have a look at for Kaikoura on Monday. Here's La Rosa. One of the reasons I wanted to show you this is a brilliant front-running drive from Bobby B, Bob Butt and Manhattan. That's Darling Me in second. La Rosa there. Stylish Memphis to the outside, running home nicely. Takes her place in the Kaikoura Cup on Monday, but La Rosa was good. She's come up with Barrier 5, Matthew, in race number 6. Star Magic, A Taste of Honey's first up. Happy Place, Corrivelli Star, Cheezel, Cloudy Bay. It's a good race, but if she scores up, and we know she can have the odd issue in that department, finds the markers at Kaikoura, it's the key around there. If she can scoot round there, Matthew, gee, I reckon she'll take some beating.
Yeah, she's due, La Rosa. She's due to be able to get onto the top end, because that's such a dangerous spot for her to be in when she can lead a race. Looks a pretty open go, though. There might be a fair bit of speed in there, Greg, at the start of the race. A Taste of Honey can obviously leave the gate, so too Corrivelli Star and Cheezel. But if La Rosa were to press on, she's probably the horse to roll and certainly deserved of another win. That was a good win there from Manhattan at Ashburton, Darling Me and the like, throw in some of the North Islanders as well. Some of those mares features are going to be pretty interesting, particularly if horses like Darling Me are having to draw toward the outside and have a bit of work to do.
Yeah, and I think she'll be she's eligible for that Mayor's Classic on show day, as I think is All-American Lover. She might even go around in that or the free-for-all, not really sure. But yeah, you're right, they're going to be cracking contests though. Speaking of contests, we had a couple of competitions over the last few weeks at Ashburton. Bubbles, as he's known, Brent McEwen had a great day down there. The winner of this week's competition was for the Alabar tent, and congratulations to Hayden Cameron. 4 tickets coming your way, who won last year's Alabar Kaikoura Cup. His third, of course, the only horse to do that, and the unique situation of doing it at Addington Raceway, Classy Brigade, the now retired Classy Brigade. So Hayden will have a great day there. They have a super day in the Alabar tent, and well done to you and friends who will be heading to the big day. All right, the best bets last week, not good enough. We need to lift for the Breast Cancer Foundation. Michael Guerin's gone with Bolt for Brilliance, going around, of course, at Ashburton. I've gone with, at Ashburton, at Kaikoura, and I have gone for La Rosa. So that's our $100 multi. Our team, the hand milking team, Graham Hand, he's gone for a couple of runners at Invercargill. They are Fovo Straight, race 5, number 8, into Joe's Rock, race 7, number 6, out of Invercargill. Matthew, if I was to press you for a best bet of the week, plenty of opportunities. You've got Methven on Friday, you've obviously got the 2 days at Kaikoura, or anywhere else you want to have a bet. Where would you go?
Last race, Kaikoura on Sunday. Fernley Blackbird from the Regan Todd stable. I think between it and Obsession, they'll go close to running the Quinella in there. So last race on Sunday out of Kaikoura. Get yourself a little pot builder for the big day to come on Monday out of the South Bay.
Yeah, well, we look forward to that, as you will be looking forward to New Zealand at Cup Week. What cup number are you up to? About 3 or 4?
4 this year.
Yeah, 4.
Yeah, 4. 4. Time's flying.
Yep.
Time's flying, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. What do you do preparation-wise? Is there something different for the day that that Matthew Cross does leading into what is an enormous week?
Well, you sort of get out of routine a little bit, as you know, and everybody does over Cup Week, and I don't think that any of us have got it down to a fine art. I think things are a little bit different this year, probably with the crowds being around. I've got a couple of years under my belt now, so people aren't so forgiving if I make a balls up in the middle of a race. But yeah, I think just try and keep it as simple as we can. We've all got our lives away from the races as well, so enjoying that on what is set to be a big day as well. We'll be here nice and early trying to beat the crowds in Greg, because from all reports, it's going to be an absolute sellout here, both here and at Riccarton Park for the Gallops meetings as well. But it'll be just nice. It'll be nice to get back to Kaikoura. I know that our participants like getting away to those meetings as well, and it's a good chance to just freshen the mind in the lead up to IRT, New Zealand Trotting Cup Day. Looking out there, Greg, it's starting to feel like Cup Week fever with all of the tents and everything going up.
Yeah, it certainly is. If you want to get your tickets, I firmly believe this, Matthew, it will be sold out. I can tell you the corporates are pretty much done. General admittance, the early bird tickets are all gone, so you just have GA opportunities now. And, of course, the Bacardi on the lawn, the old Lindauer on the lawn as well. Go to addington.co.nz. I implore you to do that, because I doubt they're going to have any tickets on the day to sell at the gate, and it really is taking shape. We haven't had a Cup Week at Addington for a couple of years, so we really want you to come out and enjoy it. And as I mentioned in the earlier part of the show, the depth to this year's IRT New Zealand Cup, it's up there with better fields than we've had in the last couple of decades. So certainly looking forward to that. In terms of the box seat, we'll wrap up Kaikoura next Wednesday. It's Cup Trial Day, and on Sunday morning, myself and Michael Guerin will preview IRT New Zealand Trotting Cup Day in depth. It'll be out on YouTube Sunday night, and then playing out as part of Trackside's coverage on Monday and Tuesday. They have their own preview show, 7:30 on Monday evening, which will be live out of Addington Raceway. Mark Cookson, Craig the Whale Thompson, Nicole Sims and Matthew Cross will have a part to play in that, I'm sure too. So it's all ahead of us, Matthew. Looking forward to getting to Kaikoura, and thanks so much for you taking your time out and being part of this week's show.
Yeah, good, Greg. Nice work. And look, I know that the industry appreciates the work that you do with the box seat as well, keeping us all up to date with everything that's going on, particularly at this point of year. You give us the wonderful insights, particularly into the All-Stars stables, something we probably wouldn't get if we didn't have you doing the box seat. So thanks for having me, Greg, and look forward to next time. And yeah, we'll catch you at Kaikoura on Sunday and Monday.
The Box Seat brought to you by our stable of sponsors. Harness Link for your worldwide harness coverage. New Zealand Bloodstock Standardbred where winning begins. Brecon Farms. Stonewall Stud. IRT, it's your horse and our passion. Australasian-wide Garrard's Horse and Hound. Renwick Farms. Lincoln Farms. Harness Racing New Zealand. And the clubs Addington, Ashburton, Alexandra Park and Cambridge.